All right, good evening and welcome to our virtual informational meeting. Again, I'm Mr. McCarthy because I'm going to start the recording here. So this is the CAA informational meeting, all the information that you would want to know about the Creative Arts Academy, hopefully. So kind of how this is going to work is I'm going to go through this slideshow. After the slideshow, I'm going to either use my phone or my laptop, depending on the status of battery, and give you an actual tour, a virtual tour of the building. And then at the end, I will answer questions that anyone has about the program. So the Creative Arts Academy started in 2011 and the 2011-2012 school year. The school board had a challenge to the district to kind of become a district of distinction, is the term they used a lot. In the 2012-2013 school year, they formed what they called the District of Distinction Task Force, which was a group of people looking at how they could kind of make the district stand out more and more inviting, I guess. And the kind of the things they came up with were they wanted a Creative Arts Academy, the associates program at North High School, which they have, which is called 2x2, and then the career tech program that they have at West High School. So they kind of wanted to have each high school kind of have their own special program. Year one, we started in 2014-2015 with a 6th grade class and also high school, what were called at the time dream students, which were kind of students who had exhausted all of their options in the arts classes that were being offered. So they worked with CAA teachers to kind of come up with special independent study projects. And then that's what the high school program looked like for the first several years, until kind of every year we added another grade. So year two, our 6th graders moved to 7th grade. We added a new 6th grade class. Year three, 2017-2018, we had our first class go to Central High School. Went in 10th grade, went into 11th grade. And then last school year, in the 2020-2021 school year, those first 6th graders that were the first kind of Creative Arts Academy class actually graduated from Central. So that was pretty amazing to have the first group that had gone through 7 years of the program. Also, obviously, last year, if you're in Davenport schools, you know, last year was the first year that we had moved 6th grade back to the elementary school. So our program, this year we had our first batch of new 7th graders. So that's been a little bit of a change for us. Really quick, I want to show you what you have to do on our website to audition. You just go to, or to apply rather, go to davenportschools.org/CAA. Once you get to our website, there's a button that says apply. You want to click on that. And then right here, it'll say fill out the digital application. That is where you fill out the application. Below that, I have what I think are somewhat helpful, hopefully very helpful, checklists of what you need to do to audition for each specific division. So that is like the dance audition checklist, the media arts audition checklist, music, theater, visual arts. There's like step-by-step what you need to do beforehand, what's going to actually happen at your audition, and then what's going to happen after your audition are all outlined on there. I also made a video where I explain it a little more thoroughly. So that is what you're going to want to do when you apply. Also, on that apply web page now, at the bottom is a link for your recommendation. So whoever's writing your recommendation for your student, whether that's one of their arts teachers or another teacher that they have, they're going to want to click on that recommendation form link. You want to send them there. They fill it out directly and it comes to us, and then I put it in directly into their file. And then what I'm working on right now is getting the audition schedule forms ready. So basically what's going to happen is once I look at my spreadsheet, I see that you have your application, your recommendation, your report card, everything is done and done correctly. Then I'm going to email you and say, awesome, everything's in there good. Now it's time to sign up for an audition, and I'll send you another form where you will sign up for your audition slot. So that's kind of how that will look this time around. All right. So we have 5 different divisions currently. We have in the fine arts areas, we have a media arts division, which is covers graphic design, broadcasting, video production, digital media, animation, all of that kind of art on kind of incorporating technology. It's kind of like art and technology, I would say, because there's broadcasting, there's photography, graphic design, video editing, things like that. Whereas visual art is our other fine art division, and that is more painting, drawing, sketching, sculpting, things like that with 2D and 3D art. So that's kind of how I classify those two separately, but they collaborate all the time. They work together a lot, and they're similar skill sets. Just one is more on the computer or with a camera versus the other ones with other art supplies. On the performing arts side, we have theater, which is, I really emphasize that it is theater. It's not just acting. So it's acting, playwriting, design, theater history, and everything like that. We have a dance program, which covers jazz, tap, contemporary, lyrical, world dance, and more. And we also have music. Our music covers vocal music, instrumental music, music theory, composition, world music, and all kinds of other aspects of music. So again, kind of like I said, theater, it's not a vocal music or instrumental, it's the whole package with music. So that's kind of what our performing arts divisions are. And they audition for one enrichment. On the form that you filled out when you checked in, I gave you the option to check multiple boxes because maybe you're still trying to decide what area you want to apply for. Excuse me, but when it's time to apply, you will apply for just one division. So our partner schools, the Creative Arts Academy, all of our junior high program is housed at Sudlow Junior High, where I am right now. And our high school classes are housed at Davenport Central. So students who wish to graduate with CAA, graduate from the CAA, will need to go to Central for high school and to be a part of that program. Okay. Okay. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to, so often I feel like I'll explain what the classes are and people still won't really be able to visualize it. So what I wanted to do is kind of give an average 7th grader's day, an average schedule. So I took a random 7th grade student this year's schedule. So obviously things will shuffle around. I'm not saying this is exactly what your schedule would be, but this is what your schedule might look like. And I did 2 versions of it. I did one version for a student who is in band, choir, and orchestra, band, choir, and or orchestra, and another for students who are not in those large music ensembles. If you're in a large music ensemble, so band, choir, or orchestra, you will need to take early bird PE and health. It's a 1 semester long class. It starts at 8:05, an hour before regular school starts. Right now they have it set up, and I don't think there's any plans for this to change. They have it every day for 1 semester. So right now the 8th graders have it first semester and the 7th graders have it second semester. So that's kind of the big difference between those 2 schedules, is that if you're in the large music ensembles, you will take early bird. If you're not, you won't. So first period, I put heritage, language arts. So our language arts and social studies curriculum, as well as our math and science curriculum, is arts integrated. And we call that heritage and STEAM. So for the first period, I have them taking heritage language arts. Second period, STEAM science. Third period, heritage social studies. And they do, in the junior high program, stay together with their CAA cohort unless they have IEP accommodations where they need to be in a different class, which we do. I mean, that does happen. We allow that. There are no, like, you can still be in the Creative Arts Academy if you have an IEP. There are nothing against that. But it just means that you're going to get a different math and science or language arts class depending on what your needs are. Fourth period, I have the enrichment class, which is the area that they audition for. That is a year-long class. So that's what I have at fourth period, and every student will have an enrichment course in the area that they auditioned for. Fifth period was where it gets a little different. If you're in band, choir, or orchestra, that is when you will go to that ensemble. And then if you're not in that ensemble, you'll have PE, health, and or art at that time. And I believe they have PE for 2 quarters, health for 1 quarter, and art for 1 quarter. And they have it in some kind of a rotation. Sixth period, I have the integrated arts class. Every 7th grader takes an integrated arts class, which is a quarter-long class with their CAA teacher. They're mixed. All the divisions are mixed up. So they will have visual arts for a quarter, media arts for a quarter, theater for a quarter, music for a quarter. And they will look at a theme, a particular theme, through the lens of that area. So it kind of gets them exposed to other areas and look at things through a different lens. And I think we all teach the content in a way that, yes, they may have their area of expertise for a quarter, but they'll be looking at it a different way and using different skills. And then I have a math STEAM course, 7th period. And that is I literally took an actual 7th grader's schedule and used that to make that. So that's kind of what their day will look like if they're in the Creative Arts Academy. For high school, I listed out the high school courses. As it stands right now, they have to take 4 credits, which comes down to about 8 of these classes over the course of their 4 years to graduate with a CAA STOL. We are in the process of revamping our high school program a little bit, but if that changes, any kind of change will be communicated with you. We're not going to let you get to junior or senior year going under the assumption that it was this and be like, hey, surprise, it's something else now. We're not going to do that. But just so you are aware, we are reworking what that high school program is going to may look like. There might be some slight changes. It might not be that much of a change. But whatever the changes, we'll make sure we communicate it with you. So I'll leave that slide up for a second so folks can look at the high school classes if they're interested. I know we have some high school families in here right now as well. So one thing that we really pride ourselves in is our ability to bring in visiting artists. We have a great relationship with Quad City Arts, who brings in a lot of different artists. And then we also just bring in artists that our teachers are connected with through the community, through our connections that we bring in to work with students, talk to students. These are just some examples of artists we've had in the last couple of years. And we also had Living Lands and Waters. We had an architect from the city of Davenport come in and talk to them about designing a park. We had musicians, artists, photographers. Rick Beyer was one of my favorite ones that ever came in. He was a historian, and he talked to us about I believe it was World War II, and they had these like inflatable tanks, and there's just these different things where they created the illusion that there were more battalions or more soldiers or cavalry than there actually was. It was really neat, but just all kinds of different cool opportunities that most of those come through Quad City Arts. Ghost Army. Thank you, Mrs. Tomlinson. All right. We do many collaborations. Visual Arts and Media Arts do a collaboration with a renowned artist from that they work with the Figgy to bring in every year. Some of those are listed here, Vanessa German. Some of the other ones, the 7th graders do a collaboration with the German American Heritage Center every year, which we're about to have our culminating event for that Thursday night. Last year we had a huge collaboration with the Jewish Federation to create a dance video, where we also had the visual arts students make the backdrops, media arts students did animation, music, sang one of the songs that they played for the credits, theater students helped narrate the video. It was really, really powerful, really well done. We also worked with Jason Reynolds, who is an award-winning author. We went with through the Davenport Public Library for that. So we've just done some really, really amazing collaborations over the years, and we continue to do those. We go on a lot of field trips. We take the students out into the community a lot. Our media arts and visual arts students went to Edwards Creative today during the school day. We go to Circa 21 every year. Our music students have already been to the River Music Experience this year. A few years ago, they went to the National Czech and Slovak Museum. We've gone to Circa 21. We go to the Symphony almost every year. So there really are a lot of cool opportunities for students to go on field trips and get to see art and the arts in the community. So I think that is something especially unique about our school. Here's something that might interest parents. Our ISASP scores, these were for our 8th graders last year. Creative arts students compared to non-creative arts students, the percent advanced for language arts was 17.7% versus 4.2%. 67.7% versus 44.8% proficient. So that's, I mean, if you add those two numbers together, that's a great percentage. Proficient, and we really do believe that it's because they have the arts in their day and in their school day, that they are more engaged in school and more concerned about doing well and just more invested in their education because of that arts element. We really strongly believe that our math numbers are higher than the non-CAA for proficient and for advanced. Same thing with science. So these are really promising numbers, I think, exciting numbers. So I'll give you a second to look at those. All right, and then so we have some annual events that we take part in every year that our students take part in. We have a Fall Fest, which is kind of a showcase for all of our arts areas. We had that this year here in the small gym. We have our German American Heritage Center showcase, which I said is coming up on Thursday. We have music recitals with all of our music division. We also have theater performances. We'll have our spring gala. Our steel band has concerts. Many of our students, I would say about 70% of our solo drama club is creative arts students and not just theater students. Students from all of the divisions are involved in the drama club. There are also a lot of our students are involved in the ensembles, band, choir, and orchestra. Many of our CAA students are involved in that. So it's really a great chance for them to get involved. There are lots of things that they can do to be involved in their school. So like I said, up next, we're going to do a quick tour. After that, we're going to have some Q&A. And then your next step will be to apply. So I'm going to stop sharing on my desktop. All right. And then I'm going to turn my camera on my laptop. Okay, I'm going to switch here. Okay. So, why is it echoing? Oh, hold on. Can I pin this? Yeah. All right. So if you want to pin me on my other screen here, we are going to start our tour. So the first room that we're going to go into is our dance studio. Here's our dance studio. We have our tumble mat. We've got bars and mirrors, Marley floor, which is a very nice dance floor. From what I'm told about dance, not my area of expertise. But next we're going to go to our theater. I'll try to hold the computer sideways once we get to the parts of the building where there's like art on the wall. So here's our black box theater. We've got brand new lights, a new sound system. We've got some pipe and drape. For those of you who don't know, we moved to Sudlow a few years ago. Well, this is our second year at Sudlow being in here. So this is a converted band room that we've turned into our theater space. And then we're going to go across the hall. I feel like we should almost do our Q&A while I'm walking from room to room because there's just no way for me to fill this time. This is our media arts computer lab, our computer classroom. If you look at each table, each workstation has a drawing tablet, which we got through a grant a few years ago. We got all these drawing tablets. Our computers also have Adobe software on them. So that is, Adobe for video editing, photography editing, all kinds of, it's the top of the line in terms of software. The Adobe is. So all of our students have access to that at school when they're here. And this is our photography studio. Ooh, it looks like we've got something set up in here. All students, 8th grade students are able to take digital photography as their elective in eighth grade. There are 8 different electives they can choose from. They take one each semester in 8th grade. So they can take creative writing, digital photography, steel band, or world of design first semester. And then here's some artwork. And then they take, they can take beginning guitar, improvisation, animation basics, or destination imagination. This is our steel band room. We've got a full steel band set. Our steel band class meets in here, obviously. Pretty unique to the program, I think. We've also got guitars, which we'll be using for our beginning guitar class, which we'll offer second semester. But this is one of our music rooms.
And Mr. McCarthy.
Our other music room.
Mr. McCarthy. Can you hear me?
Which is right across the hall. Right down the hall, rather. So this is our piano lab. We have 16 different keyboards that we have in here. And they're wired together to a machine so that when Dr. Yancey is sitting up here at the front of the room, he can listen to any of the keyboards at any time. The students are using headphones while they are playing, and he can hear them and give them feedback on what they're doing well, what they need to work on. We've got some drums as well, some hand drums. So those are our 2 main music rooms for our music enrichment courses. Obviously, we've got choir rooms and band rooms and orchestra rooms downstairs that are part of the Sudlow music program that our students do participate in. And now we are going to take a walk to the other end of the building to see the visual art rooms. So does anybody have any questions while I'm walking? Because I got to go a ways. All right.
Are all the classrooms on the first floor, or are they spread out?
Oh, somebody's listening to music downstairs. Probably one of our custodians. All right, so here is one of our visual art rooms. They're working on portraits for our German American Heritage Center project. They had to look up a German innovator and they created a portrait of their German innovator. So really cool work in here. This is where they do a lot of the 2D art. So painting, drawing, sketching, things like that. And then I'll take you down the hall to show you where we do a lot of our 3D art. Oh, I have this computer muted. Sorry. Go ahead with your all of the creative arts classes are on the same floor. They'll also have their language arts heritage class up here. Their math, science, and social studies and band, choir, orchestra will be on the second floor. If they have art, health, and PE, that'll be on the first floor. So all of their creative arts classes are on the same floor, but their core classes will be throughout the building. So here's where a lot of our 3D art happens. We've got some different types of sculptures, different kind. I think this looks like the design class, maybe the World of Design course made that. We've got some pottery wheels in here. And overhead, you don't see those too often anymore. But yeah, so here's more of our 3D art, and you have some table space in there. And then I will start heading back to my room for the Q&A, but if we want a Q&A on the way, we can. Where could I find more information about scheduling at Central? So I can send you the document that I had copy and pasted into my slideshow, but I would say contact the counselor at Central. Dr. Yancey, do you recall the name of the counselor who handles our schedule at Central?
So yeah, it'll really just depend on last name. Julie
I still
Beekle.
can't hear anybody. Oh, I've got this turned all the way down.
Sorry. So Julie Beekle handles most of our CAA specific questions, but any of the counselors at the high school that are assigned to you can organize that. So the big thing is just looking at the list of classes that we have and kind of put together the 4 years you have there, the 3 years you have there, and making sure you get all those crossed off. At the middle school level, the curriculum is pretty well defined and everyone follows the same path. In high school, we have to be more flexible because obviously we have other state requirements and everyone's schedule looks a little different. So there might be some semesters where you have several CAA classes and some semesters where you didn't have any. As long as you get them all done by the end of the 4 years, then you're good. So once you get accepted into the program and you know you're doing it, we just make sure the counselors at the high school know that, and then they'll work with you as far as the scheduling semester by semester.
Thank you, Dr. Yancey. He works more with, he's worked more with the high school program than I have, so I was glad to be able to throw that question to him.
And I think you have a hand raised.
Yes, I do. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, I just want to get a better understanding. So she would need to go, Sedlow would be her school, and then she would have to go to Central? Like that would be her base school. Is that correct?
So what grade is your child in or going to be in?
She's going to be in 7th grade, and I know we talked about it at a conference, but I guess I was just trying to have a better understanding if she would still like go, I guess, to Williams, but do classes at Sudlow. So I just was trying to understand, I guess.
Nope. If they are in the Creative Arts Academy, they will go to Sudlow and Central. They will need to, when they audition, they'll need to fill out, or when they're accepted, they'll need to fill out a transfer option form. But as long as you put Creative Arts Academy for the reason, it's automatically accepted.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And one thing to bring up is if you do not live in Sudlow District, unfortunately, we're not able to provide transportation. We only have transportation if you are in Sudlow or Central District already. So the application, survey, et cetera, should all be filed, submitted online and all at once if possible, correct? I mean, ideally, sure, but I mean, I'm gonna, if you are missing some stuff or what, ideally, yes, that's the easiest thing for me, but it's also not the end of the world if you're getting a couple things at a time, if that makes sense. So ideally, yes, you would submit it all at the same time, but if you can't, it's not going to count against you. Does that answer your question, Anthony? No problem. All right, so now we're at the Q&A time. So any questions you might have, I'll be happy to answer them. And if I can't answer them, I will turn them over to Dr. Yancey or Mrs. Tomlinson.
How long after auditioning will you know if you've been accepted?
Sure. So our main period of auditions will be the last weekend in January and the first weekend in February. So after February 5th, we're going to go through and tabulate and process all of the scores. I would say about 2 weeks after that. So I think that puts us at about February 14th, Valentine's Day. So probably around then is when we'll be sending out either acceptance, waitlist, or rejection letters. So about 2 weeks after the last day of auditions. Yep, no problem.
And I will just stress, I usually mention this with our when we meet in person or when I meet with anybody that's thinking about auditioning. We really don't want the audition to scare anybody away or to be super intimidating. We're all very approachable, and we know this is the first experience with students. Sorry, my child is now deciding to act up. We know this is the first experience for most students. We want it to be a positive one. So the big thing is just preparation. Make sure they get the portfolio put together. Make sure they know their music. But it's mostly a chance for us to get to know them and for them to get to know us and make sure, that this is a good fit for them. So we don't want it to be anything keeping them up at night, but it should be something that, the child takes seriously and prepares for.
All right. Do we have any more questions?
Yes, Mr. McCarthy, this is John Hernandez, Anthony Hernandez's dad. I had a question. So we talked back in September, and so currently I'm stationed at Fort Lee, Virginia, and we kind of talked about a virtual audition for Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
Would we still be able to do that? Because he's trying to his focus will be visual arts.
For sure. Yeah, we will just probably have you, if you can take photos, take as best as you can quality photos of the art that would be in the portfolio. The only thing I don't know, I guess, how we would do the free draw. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mrs. Tomlinson? The free draw and the essay would be the hard thing with the virtual audition.
Yeah,
we can make it work.
Yeah, I think so. I think Mrs. Hernandez could even put something up on, I know it's not physically, or you guys could put something up and just at your kitchen table, maybe she could recommend something that you could just objects you could put out and light, maybe really simple, and then he could, you would just have to be timed and she could just be there, on a Zoom call or something.
Yeah, that's true. The other thing, well, yeah, that would work. We could make it work virtually for sure. So we would just have you just take pictures of everything that's in your portfolio, and then we would have to probably just do the free draw over a Google Meet.
Yeah, I had another question. So one of the portfolio requirements is a sketchbook. Should I film a flip through of it or something and submit the video then? Because that would be a lot of pages.
That would be fine. I think, yeah, just like a video of just, turning the page and here's each page of my sketchbook. That would be fine. Totally. So, and I can work with you guys specifically about making that work virtually. because obviously that's not a very common, or traditionally that hasn't been a very common situation for us, but we'll absolutely work with you and make sure that we can get that together for you and make it work. Other questions? Yes.
I was curious to know what is like the acceptance rate, or I mean,
The acceptance rate, I would say it is probably 85 to 90% of the people that audition get in. I had a student at the one of the last meetings ask me what the number one reason that somebody would not get accepted, and I think I said, you know, if they came into their audition totally unprepared and they seemed to not care that they were totally unprepared. Like if we have a student that, you know, maybe didn't put together a portfolio right or didn't actually know what a monologue was and they're unprepared, but they have it, we can tell that they have a good work ethic through the interview and we know that they tried their hardest. Those are the kind of kids that we want to work with. I mean, obviously we want to work with super talented kids too, but like, we're not going to turn a kid away who tried their hardest and maybe didn't know what they were doing going into it. So I would say, you know, the things that keep kids out, I mean, if their ability level is super low or they have a bad attitude about it, then we're going to say, okay, this child's not a good fit for us. But it's a pretty high acceptance rate right now, I would say. Yeah, 85 to 90% of the students who audition get in.
okay.
Yeah, and we're really looking for students that are really passionate about learning a lot of things. Sometimes we have a lot of kids that haven't had experience doing these giant collaborative projects, you know, so we don't expect students to really know some of the stuff that they're coming in to learn, you know, so we're here to teach them all that and give them all those fabulous experiences. Especially in like my field, like media arts, some kids don't have access to some of the software or might not have devices or even internet, you know, so we don't expect them to have that they'll have access to that when they come, but we're really excited and want them to be excited to learn and challenge themselves and, you know, kind of and grow as an artist. And even whether they're going to do the arts for the rest of their lives or not, the way that we're teaching and integrated the arts, the artistic processes can help your child in any career or field that they choose to go into and their whole future in life. And the 21st century skills that they're going to learn too through the collaborative projects and the communication and just kind of the whole artistic process is just, I think they're incredibly beneficial, I think, for them. They are.
Okay. All right. We're actually, I'm a little ahead of the game. My son is actually still in 5th grade, but
Okay.
he at this point definitely has audition anxiety. So I don't know if, you know, I was curious to know how much emphasis is placed. You know, it sounds like if someone perhaps makes up for an obvious anxiety with enthusiasm, that maybe that would be
100%. Yes.
okay.
Yeah, and you know what? That's not common. I mean, it's common.
Not
We have kids who are incredibly talented, and they have a hard time sometimes going, and it is a big deal. And that's kind of something. Now I see him in the program. You know, I had a 6th grader I remember who did walk out, and he's a very incredibly successful 8th grade student. You know, a wonderful kid, but he did have a lot of anxiety, and that's kind of something I think too that we help them work through. You know, because with the integrated arts, they'll get like performance experience as well when they, you know, move through the theater division. So they get kind of all the different arts as well when they come. So we understand that's something that's kind of common.
And the other thing with the STEAM and heritage being designed the way they are at the junior high level, it's different at the high school level because they don't really have STEAM and heritage at high school. They're intermixed in their gen ed classes. But I think it really it's almost a school within a school for the junior high kids, and that they're taking their language arts classes with all CAA kids, their math classes with all CAA kids, and things like that. So that is for kids who have anxiety or, you know, the idea of being in this giant school. You're going to be in a giant school, but you're really only going to be around about 60 kids
Right.
over the course of your day. So I think that is a plus for the program for kids that struggle with that, is that they're part of a smaller community within the big community.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
What teacher would I have to contact for more information about like show choir auditions?
At Central, I believe. So Michael Reese is the head of the vocal music at Central. I don't know if he directs the show choir, but at the very least, he could point you in the right direction.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Well, if you do come up with more questions, I always tell people, email me. I'm pretty quick to reply. I think those of you that have reached out to me before would say that. I'm happy to answer any question. If I can't answer your question, I will work my hardest to point you in the right direction and find the person that can help you. And I'm happy to do that. That's part of my job, is helping people get ready for auditions and get prepared for coming into the school and finding out more information about the school. So please never hesitate to reach out to me. It's mccarthyal@davenportschools.org. And I'm happy to answer any kind of question that I can.
Actually, I did have one quick question, Mr. McCarthy.
Sure.
So just to reiterate, so we do the application, and then we'll wait till we hear from you for the audition, right?
So you'll do the application, make sure somebody fills out the recommendation for him, and make sure you have the copy of his report card with the application, because sometimes people have a hard time with that because it's like an attachment in the Google form and people struggle with that sometimes, which is fine. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So once I see all of those three things are in, then I will email you and say, hey, I see you've got this, this, and this. Here's the form to fill out to sign up for your audition. And since you guys are doing the virtual audition, we might do yours at a different time though, just because if we have to monitor your free draw over a Google Meet, we might not do that, because when they come here for the physical audition, they're going to go to one room further to talk about their portfolio, then a different room for their free draw, then a different room for their essay. And obviously we're not going to like take a laptop and pass it from room to room for you. So we might do yours outside of the actual audition time, but we will work with you guys on that since you're doing virtual.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. No problem. Mrs. Tomlinson, I love your built-in bookshelves. Those are my favorite. I really wanted those. Like, there were a couple houses I looked at that had built-ins, and it was like nothing else about it made sense for me in terms of the house. But I was like, I kind of want it because of the built-ins. But any other questions? Otherwise, I'm probably going to stop recording. I should have stopped recording before I started commenting on your house, but oh well. All right, so I'm going to stop recording.